to Geek-lish, the language of geek culture. This is episode 2. I am your host, Tim Aguiar, and joining me is the uncanny Heidi Burbo.
Hello, everyone. You can hear me this week, thank goodness. Unfortunately.
I'd first like to give a shout out to Kyle Andre of Dragon Ball Super Dope. His podcast. He helped us out with our technical difficulties, if you remember from the last episode.
You couldn't hear me.
Where you couldn't hear Heidi. But now you can hear us both. And thanks to the help of Kyle Andre, we really appreciate it. And listen to his podcast, Dragon Ball Super Dope.
And it's about?
Dragon Ball Super.
Dope.
No dope. He doesn't talk about dope.
No dope. Okay.
No dope. Talks about alcohol a lot, but no dope.
Okay. Dragon Ball?
Dragon Ball Super. It's an anime.
Oh, okay.
Just strictly Dragon Ball. So he breaks down the recent episodes, and he breaks down each episode with his two friends. Aaron, I've listened to a couple episodes, and it is quite entertaining.
Sweet.
It is funny. Yeah, it's pretty good. I like it.
Good deal. So, for more information about the Geek-lish podcast, you can find us at Geek-lish on Facebook and Geek_lish on Twitter. You can also find us and our episodes on our website at www.geek-lish.com. And, Tim, what's up?
Well, first, I'd like to talk about the big loss that we had recently.
Yeah.
November 12th, we lost a giant and an icon in the kind of nerd culture. Stan Lee passed away, and we all miss him dearly.
Yeah, he's a pretty iconic person. I mean, he put some really interesting things in comics that wasn't really something that people were comfortable talking about in the mainstream back in the day and even to now. And he was really ahead of his time a lot.
He really was. Yeah, he was able to hide in a lot of the racial kind of problems they were having at the time with X-Men, and a lot of characters were there. The first black sidekick was introduced with the Falcon.
Oh, that's
Captain
right.
America, yeah, it was the first one there, and he wasn't he wasn't a drug dealer, he wasn't a pimp, even though for some reason they went there with the character, and it was very hated. But when Stan Lee created him, he was this soldier, so he knew kind of where Captain America was coming from, and they became a great team, and they were equals on the same kind of level, which was a first for that kind of situation. And Stan Lee was at the forefront of that, and he was a lot of stuff. Him and Jack Kirby, who also passed away a few years ago, created some of the most iconic comic book characters that we've all kind of grown with and we've all loved, and especially now with the movies becoming as gigantic as they are.
Yeah.
Really is able to draw in younger and newer viewers to these characters. And with characters like the Black Panther being introduced to a new kind of generation who never knew this character.
I love that movie.
Empowering and uplifting to have this just amazing black character on screen he's a king. He's intelligent. He's well-spoken. He's
funny.
He's funny. He's charismatic. He's somebody you want to follow. Yeah. And he's also a superhero. So it's like, I'm a white guy. I can't even... Our viewers didn't know, Heidi. Jeez. But, I'm a white guy, so I have no clue what, black culture has to go through. But I know that when this movie first came out, it was a huge deal. And after watching it, I completely understand why. Because it's just so positive. And it doesn't kind of It doesn't talk down to anybody. It uplifts, and it kind of shows the strength of that culture, and it just did such a great job. And with every character that Stan Lee had a hand in creating, every character has heart and emotion, and they meant something to someone. Spider-Man was my guy growing up, and I saw so much of myself in that character, being a nerd and not having a lot of friends. And it was just like, man, this dude is just like me. I mean, nobody died in my hands,
Right.
thankfully. But it was like this guy who's an outcast, who really has no friends besides, Harry Osborn, gets these powers and decides to do great things with it.
Yeah.
And it was just like, man, this is like someone to look up to. As a kid, adults have these people that they look up to, whether they're politicians or journalists or news anchors at the time, were people to look up to. And for kids, it was comic book characters. These were the characters that we saw ourselves in, and that we, wanted to be. And it was just such a great thing for Stan Lee to bring into our lives and enrich our lives in the better, really.
I agree. And from a female standpoint, I love how in the comics, the women are very strong and powerful. They're very independent. They're very much part of the team. They're not somebody who has to be rescued, which growing up, that always was something that it really internally and frustrated, actually externally as well, frustrated me, because I always felt like I'm not a princess that needs to be rescued. Not that that's a problem if anybody feels like that's their thing, but there's a lot of us that grew up with the princesses that the princes were always rescuing, and it was kind of like, I do that myself. I don't need somebody to save me, and that's kind of my attitude today. So it was really cool for me to see that in the comics, and I'll be honest, I didn't get into those till I was a lot older. I didn't grow up with these things, So, but I always felt like that was such a wonderfully powerful thing that he put into those comic books.
Pretty much everybody is in deep mourning and Mrs. Stan Lee, except for one particular person. Mr. Bill Maher, in a blog post of his, posted some not too nice words. Now he says that this wasn't a jab at Stan Lee, but he passed away, and people mourned for him, and I'll just read what he said. That the guy who created Spider-Man and the Hulk has died, and America is in deep, deep mourning for a man who inspired millions to, I don't know, watch a movie, I guess. Like, way to miss the point.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't just create these characters that are in movies.
He created he created universes. I mean, people were reading these comic books way before the movies came out.
Right. And it's to say what he said is just so ignorant about, I mean, oh boy, just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. But he went on to say, but then 20 years ago, something happened. Adults decided they didn't have to give up kid stuff, and so they pretended comic books were actually sophisticated literature. Now, I don't think anybody thinks comic books are sophisticated literature, but they do tackle some pretty sophisticated stuff like racism and bigotry and sexism, alcohol abuse, spousal abuse. They cover such adult things. The attack on 9/11 was a powerful issue that brought me to tears, because it was in Spider-Man's point of view, where he's jumping in and helping with the firefighters and help rescue firefighters. And it was a powerful issue. And to downgrade that with that comment is just like, who the hell do you think you are to say such ignorant, spiteful things?
Well, here's my thinking on this. When you say something that clearly offends an entire culture of, in American society and around the world, really, then you step in it even more, because in the second part you wrote, that was even worse than the first part.
Right, and this was on the same blog post. This was like the second paragraph. And then he says, here's the coup de grace of stupidity from Bill Maher. He goes, I don't think it's a huge stretch to suggest that Donald Trump could only get elected in a country that thinks comic books are important. Screw you, Bill Maher. Screw you.
That is not right.
The stupidest thing I have ever heard in my life. Because here's my point of view. If comic books were treated as important as we all think they are, I put up finger quotes for the viewers at home, Trump wouldn't have been elected, because we all would have had much better morals from reading these comics.
True.
So it's such a stupid thing.
But the thing is he probably has never read one, and he clearly missed the whole point of them. So of course he would think that was the fact, because he thinks they're these stupid little stories about nothing. And so that's why he has this really uneducated opinion about comic books and what they cover. And that's why he slapped it on to the Trumpmobile. And that's not fair. And I really... and really... It's, without sounding like a snowflake, it's offensive that you would have to... Why do you have to take something so beautiful and slap it onto something so ugly? You don't need to make it... Like, anytime Stan Lee attacked anything in the comics, except, I think, with Hitler...
Right, yeah, that was during
direct.
the time of World War II, and that was a direct attack.
But I think he's always done things on very much the abstract. Like, this is not attacking somebody specifically.
Because he couldn't. Because the comic book code at the time prevented him from talking about such things. You couldn't talk about racism and sexism and stuff like that. The fact that Captain America went to Germany in World War II and hit Hitler, all of America was fine with. Even the editors and even the comic book code guys, they were fine with that. Because,
Hitler.
Captain America is punching Hitler.
Yeah.
Cool. Who's against that? Hitler, obviously. But
yeah, who cares?
Exactly. Who cares about that? But then the most important things like race and sexuality and stuff like that, you couldn't even put vampires in comic books. That's why a vampiric character, that Morpheus, who's one of Spider-Man's villains, he doesn't suck blood. He takes plasma out of your body with his hands. So it's not the same as a vampire, because vampires were very sexualized back then.
Oh, okay.
So
that's
the
what
comic book code was
yeah.
No vampires, no biting necks, no blood. So they were like, all right. He uses his hands when he touches somebody. He removes the plasma, which is blood. Like, way to do some reading, editors. Like, Jesus, how do you miss that? But it's like, how smart was that to be like, I'm gonna go around here. I'm gonna twist that around a little bit and be like, oh, now it's fine. They were like, yeah, that's a good character.
Yeah.
Good job, guys. Nice thinking, Stanley. But Bill Maher steps in it even worse.
Oh no.
Yeah. He was on a talk show, and he was being talked to. I can't remember the word. Help me out here. Interviewed. Thank you. Interviewed. I need a thesaurus. But he goes on. This is what he says. He goes, but talk about making my point for me. Yeah, I don't know very much about Stan Lee, and it certainly wasn't a swipe at Stan Lee, but I'm agnostic on Stan Lee. I didn't read comic books. I didn't even read them when I was a child. What a sad childhood, first off. I didn't even read colored books when I was a child. What a loser. What I was saying is a culture that thinks that comic books and comic book movies are profound meditations on the human condition is a dumb effing culture. And for people to get mad at that just proves my point. No, Bill. Again, you missed the point. Because the reason why people are mad at you is because you took a dump on the legacy that is Stan Lee's career and what he did for a multitude of people, not only in this country, but around the world.
But also, why this is what I don't understand. When somebody dies, such as Stan Lee, leave it. Like, I keep saying, like, why do you need to say anything about it? He died. Let people mourn him. Let them have their moment. Who cares what you think about? Somebody died. Let it go. I don't understand why there's any commentary about it.
Yeah.
That's what bothers me.
Yeah, I honestly don't know why he even felt the need to bring it up.
I know.
Which just aggravates me. But another thing that aggravates me is that the actor Armie Hammer, the viewers out there, do we know who that is? No? Good, because he's not really that big of an actor.
I had to look it up.
Yeah, I told you about this.
His real name is Armand, right? Armand. And he goes by Armie Hammer.
Because that's a more action kind of action actor name.
Okay.
But
yeah, I'm not going to forget it anytime soon.
No, it's a very memorable name.
Yeah.
Although, here's what's funny. His name is a lot more memorable than his career is, because literally the only thing I can think of was the Lone Ranger movie with Johnny Depp. And that was a terrible movie. And he was terrible on that movie, as was Johnny Depp. It was just a bad movie all around.
Oh, Johnny Depp.
He played a Native American.
Yeah, I know. There was a lot of flack about that. Yeah, I know.
And it was just like, oh, God, what a terrible movie this is. Like, I know Johnny Depp is a big name, but...
It's amazing.
Cultural appropriation much? I'm so sorry I said that. I hate that word. I hate that word so much, cultural appropriation. Ugh. I know. But, yeah, he tweeted a response to all the celebrities that posted photos of themselves with Stan Lee. I was going to say Tony Stark. That's not his real name. Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth. They all pretty much posted photos of themselves with Stan Lee and with a little bit of something they remembered him by, and which I thought was fine.
Inappropriate.
Very appropriate. Yeah. They loved him. They loved this man for creating the worlds that they're able to play around in. As an actor, it's like, to meet the creator of the world that you're acting in is such a blessing.
Yeah.
And they felt it. And none of these photos felt weird. You know what I mean? They didn't feel like, oh, look at me. I'm an actor who was able to meet your god. They
took a picture with, like, their hero.
Yeah, their hero.
Yeah, I get it.
But Armie Hammer sniffs some nefarity.
Great.
That was a weird sentence I just said. He tweeted, so very sarcastically, by the way, so touched by all of the celebrities posting pictures of themselves with Stan Lee. No better way to commemorate an absolute legend than putting up a picture of yourself. If Stan impacted your life, i.e. all of our lives, with his work, put his work that touched you the most. Posting a selfie makes his death about you and how cool you felt taking a picture with him. What are you talking about, Armie Hammer?
See, this is another one of those, why do you have to comment?
Yeah.
That's clearly not what they were doing.
Why does it bother you?
Yeah.
Because you didn't get to take a picture with Stan Lee? Like, that's the only thing that makes sense to me. It's just like, I wasn't able to act in any of those movies. I never got to meet him. And here's the funny thing. When he says something like, i.e. all of our lives. Really, Armie? Because I scoured your Twitter and I didn't see one post about, in memory of Stan Lee. So stop being a hypocrite. And instead of posting selfies, why don't you post something heartwarming and heartfelt about something that he did that he touched your life? Because apparently he didn't.
Way to investigate, Tim.
Yeah, because this pissed me the hell off. Because what the hell? Why does it matter that these actors are taking photos with this icon? Who cares?
Yeah.
Why does it bother you? And then somebody, a fan, which I love this person, whoever this is, posted a picture of Hulk, of Stan Lee standing in front of a Hulk statue. Mark Ruffalo.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God.
I didn't know which actor you were talking about.
Yeah. Because Mark Ruffalo posted a picture of a statue of the Hulk and Stan Lee standing in front of it.
Right.
And a fan posted to Armie Hammer's page, "Is this okay? Is this appropriate?" And he said, "Actually, yes. This was an example that stood out and made me think this post was actually about Stan." But what's the difference? What's the difference?
But
it's like if you post, if a family member dies and you post a picture of you and that family member of a moment that you remember and that you cherish, do people automatically go, "Wow, Heidi, way to make your grandmother's death about you"?
I've never heard that.
Of course not, because people aren't stupid and self-absorbed enough to be like, "Wow, Heidi's really making this death about her."
Well, yeah, and Stan Lee was I'm so dumbfounded by the ignorance and stupidity of why he felt the need to make these kind of comments.
Yeah, it really just kills me. And he just recently he posted an apology, which also annoys me because it wasn't even an apology he posted. It was weird because he shared an apology. Like he posted it somewhere else and he just like took the image of it and then posted the image of his apology. And it was like, wow, way to go the laziest route to an apology. Well, I already apologized on this piece of social media. Let me just take that photo, screenshot that, and put that on my Twitter, and that's good enough. Like, way to make that apology about you.
Yeah,
taking a selfie with you, an apology. Wow, Armie. Jeez. What a goddamn hypocritical ass.
Yeah. I don't...
It's just... it kills me. Because
I don't understand why it's necessary to make comments about anything anyways. If I saw... And I did see a lot of actors who played in a lot of the movies.
Right.
And some who didn't even play in the movies that loved the comics, take pictures and post them on different social media about their love and grief in regards to the loss of Stan Lee. And I thought it was a beautiful tribute to how much he impacted people's lives. Honestly, I'm going to tell you, I don't do that much social media. I just don't.
Yeah.
And when I see Twitter posts or whatever on the internet when I'm scanning through, I barely ever look at the handle of whoever it is. I just look at the pictures. So I mean, this is just beyond ridiculous. And honestly, this would have just been, in my opinion, this would have been so offensive to Stan Lee. This is not what his life was about.
Because of how much he actually loved his fans.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to speak for him because I can't, but I don't think he would care. I think he would be so touched to see all of these images and to see how many people who he actually touched.
Yeah.
To post photos with them, like in a proud moment that we all cherished. And it is, I think he would be completely fine with it, the way he is.
Yeah.
Memorialize Stan today, and we're all going to miss him. And we all loved him. Excelsior.
Aw. All right, Tim, let's hit the watch list.
we have an update. The story from last episode about the Sabrina versus the Satanic Church.
Yeah, in our last episode, we talked about the Satanic Church going after the new Sabrina.
Yeah, the new Sabrina show, and on Netflix, and they were very upset because of the the copyright of their Baphomet statue, the exact likeness of their Baphomet statue.
Yeah,
and
I saw it. It was pretty spot on.
Yeah, it's an exact replica, and they're legitimately upset with how it's portrayed,
right,
in the show,
right,
and so they went after Netflix.
They sued.
They sued, and here's some funny / good news. Satan wins. But doesn't he always? In the end, doesn't he always win? But all jokes aside, they sued Netflix for $50 million.
Holy!
Initially $50 million, but they for allegedly copying the image of its goat-headed deity. They've amicably settled that the unique elements of the Satanic Temple's Baphomet statue will be acknowledged in the credits of the show's episodes.
Odd.
What do you mean? That odd?
Well, no, I mean, I guess having them acknowledge it, but they settle financially, and
they didn't say whether or not
the private thing.
That's a private thing, and I guess CNN or somebody tried to get some information out of Netflix, and Netflix refused to talk about it. So I'm assuming that money was kind of traded. I'm sure they got some money, but I don't think the money was the important thing for the Satanic Church.
It doesn't sound like it.
From the last story, it really sounded like they were very upset with how their church was being portrayed.
That's what it sounded like, yeah.
In this fictional show. So the fact that Netflix is going to acknowledge the actual, these unique elements, and because they are unique. Mm-hmm. If you remember those 7 tenets that I read, pretty awesome tenets.
Yeah.
So the fact that they'll get at least acknowledged at the end credits, I feel like is a win.
Yeah, definitely for them. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's a great win for them. So good for them. And here's the funny thing: during some of this research, I didn't realize that the Satanic Church is in Salem, Massachusetts.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Is it really?
Yep.
I've been all over Salem. Go there like every birthday. My birthdays. I go there every birthday.
And not in the deep, dark depths of of that. Because they're there. I
did not know that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, the headquarters are there. Yeah. It's kind of funny.
I would actually like to go by there and check. I mean, I'm converting, but I would like to go.
Yeah, I would love to as well. Just to go by there and be like, hey.
I mean, if they're anything like their tenants, they're probably very pleasant people.
Like, hey, you want to come on the podcast and talk about some stuff?
Yeah, I
know. We'll talk about Sabrina and we'll shit all over. But I actually heard I hear it's a really good show. So it's really nice that Netflix they acknowledge what they've done.
Yeah.
And that they're like, all right, we're sorry. We're going to post some at the end of the credits, we're going to say some nice things about your church and just clear it up. And so that's nice. I'm glad Netflix is doing that.
And they're keeping the statue in the movie. I mean, in the show, right? They're not changing it. That wasn't part of the deal.
No, but I think, which I think is why maybe finances were exchanged. Because it's like, if you're going to use a statue, you guys need to pay some rights. I'm guessing.
Right.
I'm not, whatever. They didn't mention if they got any money. They just mentioned that at the end credits, things will be said.
Yeah, it sounds like it's uber private.
Yeah, which is understandable.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
we don't need to know all the details.
But just the fact that there was an end to the story so soon.
I know. Well, I remember I saw something about it when I was on one of the social medias, and I didn't even read it. I just linked it to you to look at it because I wasn't sure what it was going to say.
Yeah, and I read it, and I was like, "Oh, good for them. Good for Satan." Weird.
That is really weird to say.
I believe I'm siding with the devil. But yeah, and then like the idiot I am, I went into the comments of that story on Facebook. And
boy, you always do that. Why do you do that to yourself?
I love to torture myself.
You do.
I love it. I'm like the albino character in the Da Vinci Code. I just flog myself. And I'm just comments? Like, ooh, Facebook comments. Get those prongs in my thigh. There's blood everywhere of stupidity and ignorance.
It is.
It really is.
I avoid those.
Yeah. And you avoid them, and I drink it in.
Like you really do.
God's nectar.
You do.
It gives me life.
So I can't wait to hear these comments.
Yeah, because I didn't write any of the comments. Gonna be a whole
bunch of Bible thumpers.
Not even.
No.
You, surprisingly enough, no. It was a lot of kind of randos out there, just baffled at the story, and they're just like, wow, how? I think the main argument that I remember reading was how many times has the cross been in movies or Catholic imagery been in movies? But I think people are missing the point, because whenever you see a cross or any Catholic or Christian or even Jewish imagery in movies, it's in a positive kind of note. And so I think people miss the point of that, because it's like, yeah, of course the Satanic Church is going to be upset, because the Satanic Church is always portrayed in a negative light, because the devil is the oldest villain in history.
Right.
So, okay. Traditionally. Heidi,
okay, traditionally.
Jesus. Technically, the comet was the oldest villain because it killed millions of dinosaurs. So that's the oldest villain. And then people came along and they were like, God and the devil, and I can't explain thunderstorms, so Zeus. That's how it happened. That's how I imagine it happening. But just weird people running around going, I don't know how wind works. Okay. God did it. All right. Don't give that guy wine. Another god did that as well. All right. Stop giving that guy wine. Anyway. Need to reel me in, Heidi.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, the comments were just killing me, because it was like, well, the Catholic Church should sue then, because how many times are they in movies? How many times are they in movies positively? Why would they sue? Excuse me, movies, stop portraying God as an awesome person. Oh, knock it off.
Yeah. Well, the movie, what was it called? It was about the Catholic Church and all the pedophiles.
Yes.
The priests.
And guess what happened? The Catholic Church sued.
Yeah.
Wow, what a surprise. Because they were portrayed in a negative light, albeit a truthful light.
Very truthful.
But
yeah.
they were
at least that part of it.
Yeah, at least that part of it. I know what movie you're talking about. But yeah, I remember hearing about the lawsuit that they were suing the movie studio. So this is the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Except it's not, because that stuff with the Catholic Church actually happened, and according to and it's horrible. And according to the Satanic Church and their tenets, which we read online, on air, it's unfair to portray them in such a negative light, because that's not how they see their God, Baphomet.
Yeah.
So it's not the same.
No.
But it is in a way. It's weird. I don't know. It's a weird line to toe about like suing and what to sue for. But I mean, I completely agree with what the Satanic Church did, and I'm glad they won.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people look at religious and non-religious, even if you're not any more religious, or you walked away from a church or whatever, you generally still have this ideology about Satan.
Right.
And it's never really a positive one. So it's really weird to sit here and be...
Defend Satan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? Because that last episode, I went on, I don't know about you, but I went on an emotional journey. Because in the beginning of it, like I told you, when I first read the story, I'm like, wow, this is such a stupid story.
Yeah.
This satanic church is suing Netflix for portraying the devil negatively. What a surprise.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, I was like, I'm on the devil's side? This is weird. I don't know.
I'm not sure about this.
Mom, don't listen to this.
Yeah, don't listen.
I'm sorry. But, I mean, I think I'm going to Salem and worship. No, I'm not going to do that.
No.
But I would like to go and meet them because this is such an interesting church.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're so positive, their tenets, the satanic church's tenets are more positive than...
Well, I think, like I said, their tenets are really fascinating. I never knew them because I never took the time to read them. I just,
Neither have I.
you know, I never thought any kind of way about the church. I just thought...
Yeah, I remember hearing about them like a few years ago, and I was like, oh, all right, that's a thing.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah, it was never really anything that I was overly interested in checking out. And after you read it, I thought... Not that I'm good at convert to anything, but I have to keep reiterating that because my mom might listen too.
Yeah.
And even though she knows I'm not, you know, her direction, and I don't want her thinking anything worse.
Right.
But I thought, wow, you know, I would really like to have a conversation with these people and just
as would I.
Just
I think it would be a very
understand
interesting...
their beliefs a little bit better.
Yeah, I think it would be a very interesting conversation to have with them and just be like, this is interesting and tell me more.
Yeah.
Just, because I, like yourself, I'm not converting, Mom. Okay? Heidi's mom, don't call me.
Don't do it.
We don't need to come into Jesus meeting. Okay?
She'll bring it.
She'll bring it.
She'll bring some
sweet tea. We're going to have some coming to Jesus meeting. Y'all can't be worshiping the devil. He's evil. He's the devil. I don't know why I got to reiterate how evil he is. No. Mom, sorry. Jeez.
When I'm supposed to reel you back in, but I'm just laughing too much.
I know. It's just such an interesting story, and that the fact that it came to an end so quickly was surprising and interesting. So I felt the need to kind of close out the story that we started last episode.
Well, that's a good thing and perfect timing because now we can move on to the review corner. Because you've got stuff to go over in the review corner.
I do. First off, I want to talk about Fallout 76 and just the pure, absolute mess this game is.
That's so unfortunate because I haven't played the game, but I've watched Lou play it, and it's really a fascinating concept. I mean, it's apocalyptic. That's not like a new concept or anything like that. But the whole vault thing and the whole universe that's been created with all the different creatures and people and sex, you know, the different... It's just really interesting. So it's really sad that this is gone this route. But I knew once they did, like, where it was online gameplay... I knew that was going to be a bad thing.
Yeah, it was when I first heard about it, I was very skeptical. And I was like, purely online? That might not work. And it'll be interesting to see how they try to make it work. And from the videos and the stuff that I've been reading up to this point, has just been, it seems like they were kind of getting stuff right, and how the PvP worked, and that you couldn't grief anybody, and that there's a certain station on your Pip-Boy that you can go to, and it'll just open it up for only PvP players, and only they show up on the map. And if you
for the murderers, right?
No. That's for strictly PvP people.
Oh,
so if you want a PvP, you switch the radio station. And then only it kind of broadcasts a frequency that only other PvP players on that station can hear. So then it becomes kind of a hunter-hunted kind of mini game thing where it's like, oh, I gotta go kill this guy, but someone else is coming after me. And
Yeah, but I thought that was when somebody killed other people and became like a. Because my biggest concern was that people could just randomly come up and kill you.
Right.
And when you do that, you get kind of dinged or flagged as a murderer, where you can hunt people now, but they can hunt you too.
No, the hunt/hunting aspect, that's just a pure PvP mode. But the murderer thing that you're mentioning is if you grief somebody, because if you shoot somebody who doesn't want a PvP, you're doing the smallest amount of damage. And if they start shooting back, that's when you do full damage.
Right.
But
yeah, I did see that.
If you continue to follow this person and shoot them, and if they're not
not engaging with you,
re-engaging in the combat, you're just bothering this person. And eventually, you're just going to continue to kind of take little bits of health off. Eventually, you'll kill that person, and then you'll be marked as a murderer.
Okay.
And then once that happens, all other player icons disappear on the map except for yours, and you're marked as a murderer. You have a bounty on your head.
But you can see other murderers, too.
I don't know. I don't know if you can see other murderers.
There was this thing I saw, I believe, that Lou was watching, that you have to go to a radio station for other murderers, and it'll show all the murderers on the map, but it won't show anybody else.
Okay.
I think. I have to check that out, but I'm pretty sure that's...
I could have sworn that was just the normal PvP stuff. Like, if you want to do PvP, you do the radio station, and all you can see are only people who want to do PvP. So that way you're not bothering anybody else who just wants to do storyline. But the game has been released, surprise, surprise, full of bugs.
Yeah, but they always do that.
They always, which is why it's not really a surprise. My surprises were purely sarcastic, Heidi.
Okay, sorry.
Catch up.
Sorry.
Fake nerd girl. It's another term I loathe. But yeah, riddled with bugs, riddled with glitches. Just people getting attacked by T-posing zombies. Which, if you don't know what T-posing is, just imagine the human body T-posing.
Oh.
And that's how they capture motion capture artists.
People
with the dots on their body.
Right.
They have to T-pose in the beginning and after their capture. So you have these ghouls or zombies just in an infinite T-pose just floating around the map coming after you. Like, it's the weirdest thing. Watching these videos and watching these playthroughs, it's
kind of creepy.
Yeah, it's creepy, but not in the good way, because it's creepy broken.
Wait a minute, those aren't players?
No.
Oh, that's the game.
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that's the game.
Stupid.
Yes, exactly. That's why people are very upset with this game.
Yeah, I can understand.
And it came out, I think the first day was like a 42 gigabyte patch. Day one.
Wow.
You guys couldn't have waited another week to release the game with this patch already on there. Instead, you were like, no, let's release it now, and then we'll release a patch to fix it. This is Bethesda 101.
Yeah.
This is what they do with every single game they do. And the fact
why they do that.
They get away with it because people continue to buy the games.
Because they're great games.
Unfortunately, they're great games.
Yeah.
They're massive games. The world is huge, very populated.
Yeah.
Which is also another issue that people are having with this game, is that it's not populated. It's populated with robots, zombies, cool-looking monsters. I'll give them that. The art design, the creature design is on point. Like some of the creatures that they created for this game are just frighteningly grotesque and amazing looking. But there's no human interaction. You're not meeting human NPCs. Everything that's pushing you along the story is either an audio file or a file you're getting from a computer terminal, and that's what's pushing you along this very shallow, generic story of, oh, the original vault overseer has left to go find a new home, and you have to now find them.
So
Cool storyline.
why
guys.
did they take all of the human factors out?
I have no idea. I have no.
Were they afraid that it would get
too
that could
confusing?
confuse people?
Yeah.
that they
Is that
were-
a player or an NPC? I don't know. They're not moving. Friend or foe?
There's ways around that. They could have done an icon. They could have done where they're flickery.
There are MMOs, which technically this game is now an MMO. Mm-hmm. They have MMOs where there are human NPCs throughout the game, giving you missions, giving you story missions, giving you side quest missions. So why couldn't they do that with this game? I don't know. Laziness? I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to say laziness because they obviously put a lot of effort into making this game.
Yeah, it's a
This is a massive game. So to say laziness is really unfair, but also not, because you put out an unfinished, broken ass game.
Yeah, but they always do that.
I know, but that's the problem. We have to stop letting them get away with it, because they continue to do it without worry of whatever. But if the review scores, I should say, for this game are any indication of how sick and tired we are of this just chicanery, it's good news. And I hate to see a game this big from such a major company fail so horribly, because there's a lot of people who work on these games. So for it to fail in such a magnitudinous way, it's a word I just made up, obviously, in such a huge way, is kind of sad, because people put their heart and soul into this stuff just to literally have it ripped apart by people who are unhappy with it. And
they're on podcasts. Get into it.
Yeah. I feel a little bad, but I don't, because I don't blame the people who made the game. I blame the people who pushed this game out completely unfinished and broken. Because I'm sure if any of the coders or designers or anybody who worked on this game had their say, they would have been like, let's wait a year. Let's fix all of this stuff first. But no, the president and the CEO and people who are looking at the dollar signs are like, no, people are waiting for this game. Put it out now.
We'll stay relevant.
We'll just fix it like we always do, and people will be fine with it. But here, I looked it up. Metacritic, which is a compendium of all of the scores from critical scores to user scores. And for the PC Metascore, 55 out of 100. These are professional reviewers. 55 out of 100.
Jeez.
User score, 2.9 out of 100.
Are you kidding me?
Yes. People review bombed the hell out of this.
Oh, wow.
They carpet bombed this game with bad reviews.
Yeah, that's horrible.
It's terrible. So a lot of times the user reviews are just like, I hate the company, or I hate what they did. So 1 out of 10. But the PS4 Metascore was 49 out of 100. User score was 2.7 out of 100. And the Xbox Metascore was 48 out of 100. Score 2.4 out of 100. So
Meta was 50 or below on all three.
Pretty much.
And on all three, they were below
grade.
3 as a user.
Under 3 out of 100.
Out of 100.
For users.
Holy.
Yeah.
So those people won't be winning any game awards.
Which is a perfect segue, Heidi, to
You're welcome.
Our next ridiculous story about the Game Awards. And there is a bit of controversy in a sense that people are not happy with a specific game that won Game of the Year.
Okay.
That game was Fortnite. Won Game of the Year.
So I don't know anything about Fortnite except what I saw on Big Bang Theory. Apparently, people parachute onto a island and they have to fight their way off.
That's pretty much everything you need to know. about Fortnite.
Okay, so that is, I'm sorry, gamers out there, but that is one of the dumbest to me. I don't enjoy those games. This is like, you know what that video made me watch of that guy in the cauldron who has to get his way up a...
Getting over it with Dennis Foddy?
That is the most ridiculous game, and watching people play it and freak the hell out. Now that's entertaining.
It's the best thing in the world.
It is the worst game.
Oh, it's a ridiculous game. And it's literally made to anger you. But yeah, this game, people are upset because in a year where God of War came out, Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, just a handful of amazing titles that came out this year are beaten out by Fortnite. A battle royale casual shooter that is just, it's, people are very upset, and in my opinion, rightfully so, because that is ridiculous.
How do they determine, what are the categories that bring these winners to the winning table? Like what was it most downloaded, most purchased, most commented on? What was it?
Sure. I'm really not even sure whether it was viewer voted or whether it was a panel of people voting. I mean, it had to have been viewer voted, because there's no way a panel of people would have agreed that this was Game of the Year. Some of the categories: best storytelling, God of War; best cooperative game, Monster Hunter World. What else we got? PC Game of the Year, Subnautica. Xbox Game of the Year, Forza 4. Nintendo Game of the Year, Octopath Traveler. Sony Game of the Year was God of War again. It's Critics' Choice Award was Red Dead Redemption 2. Fortnite won. What was it? Best multiplayer? Oh, best competitive game was Fortnite, and also Game of the Year. God of War won like 3 different things.
Yeah, well, I don't know why that wouldn't have won.
God of War won best storytelling, which was the story. The story was absolutely phenomenal.
It's an incredible looking game.
Best visual design was God of War.
That should have won. Yeah.
Yeah. Best audio, God of War. Best. It was PlayStation Game of the Year, but it didn't win Game of the Year.
The Kool-Aid.
To have a game now. I don't want to sound like a fanboy, but to have a game that sweeps so many categories to then not win Game of the Year is kind of bull. It's not right.
So is this what people are mad at?
People are more upset because Red Dead Redemption 2 just came out, and that's a visually amazing game. It is huge. The story so far is intriguing. The characters are intriguing. Visually, it's amazing. The sound quality is amazing. This is another game that could have swept all of those categories that God of War swept. But it didn't win Game of the Year. And Fortnite won Game of the Year. Which, here's the weird thing. That Fortnite is like 2 or 3 years old. So the fact that it was even in the nomination of Game of the Year.
Oh, that is weird.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Like, was there a cutoff? Is it,
when you do Game of the Year, that should be like the year
Game of 2018.
Yeah.
Yep. With whenever it's the Oscars or the Emmys, they always pick things from that year. There is always a cutoff. So sometimes movies that were out in November or December aren't even in the nominations.
They get picked up the next year.
But they get picked up the next year. But there's a cutoff. But they also don't add in movies from earlier that year or 2 years ago.
No, they don't.
You know what I mean? Slumdog Millionaire is not going to be up for best movie this year.
Yeah.
Even though they won that year. But it doesn't make any sense.
No, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And not to... I don't want to, rip on anybody who is a fan of Fortnite. If that's your game, good for you. More power to you. I'm glad your game won Game of the Year, but it shouldn't have.
Yep.
It shouldn't have won. But if that's the game you enjoy playing, great. Enjoy what you enjoy. I'm not here to, poo-poo what you like and say what you like is garbage and what I like is better. But it just infuriates me when there were games that I felt more deserving, especially this year.
Well,
like Fortnite should have won the year they came out.
Yeah.
If they were to win.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest problem with this is that it wasn't in the year it came out.
Right.
So how is it relevant? And why was it even in the running? That's
I don't understand that.
Bizarre to me.
It's because they're constantly updating it. They're constantly putting in new episodes, which are the new updates. So maybe it continues to stay relevant. But
it's like it starts over the date that no one is because they put in like patches and things like that.
Maybe, but
They could be doing that with Pac-Man at this point.
With Pac-Man?
Yeah.
Pac-Man should have won Game of the Year. I agree.
No, but I'm saying they could have been patching Pac-Man for the last 40 years and then,
I'm just saying Pac-Man should have won Game of the Year.
Pac-Man's pretty autos.
Miss Pac-Man was better, but I'm not going to start a flame war on that one.
No,
Which one do you guys think was better, Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man? It was Miss Pac-Man. I'm going to stop the war now. It's Miss Pac-Man. But, yeah, I mean, it's just kind of, I don't know. It confused me, baffled me a little bit that, like, these other technically amazing and impressive games that came out this year didn't win. And I don't know.
Weird.
But I guess that's just, that's the fanboy in me, I guess, being mad that my God of War didn't win. That was an amazing game.
I think that could be some of it, but also the fact that it's in a year that it didn't come out. And I would like to know how they justify that. Like how
I don't know where their ruling comes in and why certain games are in categories and why they're not. And it's one of those weird, I don't know, Game Awards they've always been weird and controversial because unlike movies, you get more emotionally attached with a game because you're spending a lot more time with a game world than with a movie world.
I know this, Tim. This is why I don't kill off my Sims. I spend a lot of time in them, and I don't just take out the doors and set a fire.
I only do that when I'm bored with my Sims.
But I can't do that. I put a lot of time in them.
Which is fine. I'm not saying you can't do that. Just stop poo-pooing my murder spree. I know video game lives matter.
I'm just saying that I totally get it.
Right. No, yeah. I get it as well. And, I don't know. I get upset when a certain movie I love doesn't win Best Picture, but that's only because I'm a huge nerd. Mm-hmm. But, multiplied by so much that the video game that I spent so much time in that I got so emotionally invested in, i.e. God of War, didn't win Game of the Year. It kind of makes me a little sad.
Yeah.
That this game where you parachute out of a bus onto an island, you do the stanky leg and you shoot some guy in the head and you win whatever the hell. That's the Game of the Year. It just makes me sad and upset and I don't know. So,
how's the stock market?
What? Say that again?
How's the stock market?
How's the stock market?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let me look at my stock portfolio. Oh, EA is doing horribly. Holy cripes. Their stock has dropped down to $82.76 US dollars from 148.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Around that was I'm sorry. Around Star Wars Battlefront 2 at horrible controversy. They dropped from 120 to 102. So they recently went back up to 148, which is good for them.
Right.
But then to have it drop to $82 is what a hit.
See, I'm not going to talk too much bad about EA because I love The Sims.
They make your Sims.
They are I love that game.
That's fine.
I built houses a lot. But that is brutal.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And that's because of the loot?
No, it dropped to 82 around the announcement of the delay of Battlefront 2 from October to November. So because they announced that around August.
That's a significant drop for a month wait on a video game.
Yeah, But I mean, the pre-orders were unsatisfactory in EA's eyes on Battlefront. I'm sorry, Battlefield, the new Battlefield game. And it's crazy that, yeah, like you said, a month delay would do that much. But I mean, it's got to be a mixture of so many things, because EA is just, they're so infamous since the last year. Like I said, since the Star Wars Battlefront debacle and controversy that they had with the loot crates and the spending real world money and kind of getting an upper hand, and it was as you can see, it dropped. They did drop from 120 to 102, but since then the game ended up being pretty well received. It wasn't crazily well loved, but it wasn't a horrible game. So they kind of were able to turn it around a bit, and they fixed the loot crate thing, and they fixed other issues they were having within the game, and how much certain characters cost to unlock. And so after doing that, it seemed that they were doing well, especially with they're big with the sports games.
Yeah, I know.
FIFA, Madden.
Yeah, FIFA.
And FIFA. And why are you shaking your head about FIFA?
I had to do a bunch of studies on FIFA.
Oh, did you?
For economics, yeah.
This is interesting.
Well, because FIFA is severely corrupt.
Yes.
It's got so many stories and issues, and I didn't know that until I was doing all the research for class. And when I was reading about how it's connected to all these shady accounting companies and banks, and
that's interesting.
I just thought, wow, I have nothing. I'm not a sports person anyways. Every once in a while, I enjoy a good hockey match, especially when they beat the crap out of each other, because it feels like getting some of your aggression out.
Right.
But organized sports in general, it's a snooze fest for me.
Like, you're talking about actual FIFA?
Yeah.
Like human beings playing
FIFA.
Soccer?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the fact that there's a game, and I see it every time I log into my Sims, because I do it on the Epic Online, and FIFA right there, you see somebody's kicking a soccer ball and it says FIFA.
Well, yeah, because FIFA is I believe EA's biggest moneymaker.
Yeah, it's one of their crown jewels.
It's one of their crown jewels because of the loot boxes. And it's not loot boxes, but they sell card packs for real money. They sell card packs that you can buy, and you're able to when you open them up, it's like when you buy a pack of cards at the store, and you open it up and you have all the the sports cards of the athletes. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing, but when you unlock them, you can recruit those players onto your dream team that you can bring to online.
Right. So
the online market for FIFA is what they're banking all of their gains on. So you see these videos of YouTubers who are just purely FIFA YouTubers, and they make a spectacle of opening up these card packs. And oh my God, these people go out of their minds. There was one video, it was absolutely hilarious, just from the sheer stupidity of it, was the guy opens up the pack, and the next card, it was a gold card, and he stands up, he's like, oh, who is it? Is that Ronaldo? It's Ronaldo! And he throws his chair across the room in celebration, smashes his TV. Turns around, and he's like, oh, I smashed my TV. Yeah, idiot. That's what happens when you throw a chair across a room. You're going to break something. Because you got Ronaldo? It's not real Ronaldo. It's a zeros and one Ronaldo. And just because you have him on your team, it doesn't mean you're going to win.
Oh my gosh, Tim.
Ask Portugal. Just because he's on the team doesn't mean we're going to win. It's just like, but these videos and these types of reactions, EA just loves it. They lap it up. And so when this type of news comes out where their stock has plummeted to a mere $82. It's probably even less now if I looked it up now. This was a couple of days ago. And just the fact that it dropped so much is, I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad for EA. I feel bad for the people working for EA because, they work for...
It could impact them financially.
Yeah, it could hurt them financially. And that's the sad part, is that, anybody who's working for these game companies that are just nefarious and just, in the eyes of gamers, evil. They're the evil empire, which is ironic because they make really good Star Wars games. So which was so funny that when they first came out with the Star Wars Battlefront, and they released it with the loot boxes, they went to war with the wrong fan base, because it wasn't just the video game fan base, it was the Star Wars fan base, and we'll cut somebody.
Well,
we'll put a horse head in your bed. All right.
Gamers, at least all the gamers I know, these aren't people that are uber rich. Most of them don't. Right. Most of them are pale, barely see the light of day. But they're not heavily weighed with money to where they can just throw it around. So right. The games they love and they put a lot of money into mean a lot to them. Yeah. And to kind of have parts of it stonewalled behind a paywall is infuriating. Yeah. Because I got paid today. I'm going to go to the game store after work and buy a new game. And then just to take it home, get it in the system and start playing, and then realize that I don't have a full game. Yeah. I paid $60 for this game that I need to pay another $30 at least to unlock a 100% of everything. That's baloney. Yeah. And that's crap. And that's what a lot of people get angry about. And EA, unfortunately, is the worst culprit at it. At the very least, I don't want to say the most open, because I'm sure they don't want to be open about it. But they're the most put out there. They're kind of the scapegoats for the game, because other companies do this. But EA has just, I think because of what happened with Star Wars Battlefront, it was the last straw. Yeah. And because of that, every time any other game company does anything even close to what they did with Star Wars Battlefront, people, there are no chances. Yeah. Immediately, this is baloney. This is crap. Don't do that to my game. And I think some game companies are kind of taking that and going, all right, we're sorry. We're going to fix it. Yeah. And it's at the point where certain game companies are putting that out there as a selling point. Hey, our game doesn't have loot boxes. Our game doesn't have paywalls. You get 100% of the game when you buy it. That's a selling strategy. Yeah, I know. Which I appreciate that a game company is doing that, but it's like, you shouldn't have to. No. It should be kind of common knowledge that I'm going to give you money, you're going to give me a game, I'm going to have 100% of it, not 80% of it. But unfortunately, there are too many game companies selling 80% of a finished game that some the game companies that are selling 100% need to tell you that up front. Right. So they can be like, hey, I'm not like that company. I'm one of the good ones. Buy our game. And it's like, yeah, 100%. Here's my money. Give me that game. Sweet. Stop it, EA. I love you. I know. Well, I love your Sims. That's yeah, you love the Sims. I'm not a EA fangirl. All right. Well, that's a lot. We covered a lot. A lot of stuff happened. Yeah, it does. Stuff just kept. When I thought I was done, more stuff kept coming. Yep. I was like, oh, another news story. Gotta write that down. And then I was like, I'm done with stuff. And then you sent me a message of, here's the Satan thing. It's like, I've got to write another story. Got to do more work. It's Thanksgiving. Should be working on Thanksgiving. This is work though that I enjoy. Yeah, this is the good work. This isn't the work we're going back to the day after tomorrow. Stop it. I know. Sorry. This is happy time. Happy time. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. And again, for more information about the Geek-lish podcast, you can find us on Geek-lish on Facebook and Geek_lish at Twitter. And you can also find us and our episodes on our website, www.geek-lish.com.
Thank you very much for listening.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.